Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thanks very much for watching that earwax removal video today. Oh my goodness, this video is a lesson in patience about taking wax out. Your heart does kind of drop a little bit when you see these wax, this particular type of wax. It's dome shaped. This is classic Q-tip use. It's being pushed right down against the eardrum. I'll give you a little bit of background to this particular patient. Lovely gent came through, but it's been suffering with this for 2 years. This wax has been down in this position here now for the last 2 years, which means it's dry as a bone down there. It's just so dried out, perfectly formed to the shape of the ear canal, sitting right down on top of the eardrum. You've got everything going on in there at the moment. Patient had been using a bit of olive oil, but I think the difficulty happened here is when you use a drop olive oil, you have to kind of stay on the side for a long time for it to work this deep. A lot of the time it will just sit on the outside kind of third of the ear canal. So I've sprayed loads of olive oil. We use a little spray olive oil here as well. So we've sprayed a lot of olive oil in there. It's right down now on top of this this wax plug, but it's just so thin and stuck to the canal wall. I'm finding it really difficult to find a good starting spot here. You'll see I'm moving around a lot with a suction tube, thinking, right, where we're going to go next. But I'm just trying to lift a lot of this from the base of the ear canal. Did you see a little bit of movement, a twisting motion then to the wax? So I'm just going to aim for this top section here. I saw that move a little bit as we just touched that bottom section. So if it's loose enough, we may be lucky and we may be able to fold this wax forwards if it stays together well enough. Is it going to do that though? No, of course it's not. The video is 10 minutes long. It can't be done that quickly. So you can see it just broke a little bit away from the top. When you use a cotton bud or a Q-tip, if you're in the US, on your ears, what happens a lot of the time, I know there's going to be loads of you saying, I never get anything for. I know there are some people that manage to use it, goodness knows how, and don't cause any problems to themselves. But you get this one now and it's gone so deep, and you imagine having this stuck in your ear. People are going to get desperate. They've gone back and forth to their doctor's surgery. They've been prescribed olive oil. When the wax is this deep, olive oil is never going to get this out. It's just sitting down in there. The migration mechanisms that we use to expel wax don't exist this deep in the ear canal for this particular type of wax. So what's going to happen is it's just going to sit there and it's going to get softened up with the olive oil, which may improve things a little bit, and then get worse. People get desperate. They start going in there with cotton buds. They start putting all sorts of things in their ears to try and get this out. But yes, I've digressed massively from what I was saying. I'm so sorry, guys. But when you use cotton buds or Q-tips, the central section of the wax gets pushed in and compressed together, so it becomes really impacted and hard. And then the outer section becomes this very thin layer that's really stuck and dried out because the cotton's absorbed all this into the end, the little cotton bud end, and it's formed this really thin, dry layer, which is just anchored onto the side of the canal wall. You can see just how irritated this particular patient's ear canal is. It's very pink. All the blood vessels have come to the surface. It's not infection. It's just because the patient's been, trying to get this out themselves. Bless them. You can see there's a little bit of dry skin coming away here as well. I've just managed to get these little tiny pieces. As long as something's coming out, I'm happy. You've got to be patient with this kind of wax. You can't just go at it gung-ho, because you're just going to cause more damage to the canal wall. You may risk a bit of bleeding. You may push it up against the eardrum even further, which is really uncomfortable for the patient. But we're just trying to find a good angle to work on here. But look, you can see it's almost quite mobile. Now, there's going to be a couple of you in the comments. I know this is going to come up. Why don't you use the Jobson horn? Why didn't you go in there with a Rosen inserter? It's too close to the eardrum. If you to make those tools work effectively, this is your block of wax. This fist becomes a block of wax quite a bit, and then you've got the Jobson horn going over, and it's got to go behind there to be able to be effective to pull this forwards. Rosen inserter, same thing. Very pointy, sharp tool to be putting blindly behind that block of wax when the eardrum is just here. So I prefer to use the suction and try and get this out. It's a lot safer and it's going to be a lot more pleasant for the patient. If you're trying to dig back there blindly, that's the last thing you want to be doing. So just using the suction tube here, you can see I'm trying to hold on to any looser pieces. See how it's moving? We've detached it. It's got that little bit of movement there, but it's just not moving enough to be able to draw this down. And the shape is working against us here. Those outside edges which are coming towards the camera, holding this in place really, really tightly. I've got here, I'm holding on with it with a suction. This is still the fine end at the moment, so I'm trying to hold on to that central section then to see if I could get a good enough grip with the suction to just draw this forwards. but this side section here is holding it in place. So this has got to be lifted away from the canal. Let's see if I can use the side of the suction tube here just to draw this down very gently. Try not to press against the canal wall here, but just on that little bit of dry wax. I was hoping it was going to slide that neck section forwards. Not quite. We did get that bit broken away though, so that's going to help. As long as we're taking pieces away, it can come away in installments if it wants to. As long as it comes away, I don't mind. So we've managed to break that little bit away. Let's see if we get a grip. Oh, let's get that bit away first, just for the sake of completeness. Let's see if we can lift that. And now let's see if we can get a grip behind. You can see it's got that deceptive little bit of movement there. You think it's loose enough to come away, but it's still anchored in place. So I'm starting to lift. There we go. I'm trying to form a little ledge here at the bottom. And my theory is if I can get this lifted up, we may be able to just get the crocodile forceps just on there to hold on to it enough to pull this away. It's a long shot because this is quite dry, which tends to be very brittle. So when you grip it with something like a pair of forceps, which is what you can see us doing here, it'll tend to snap it. But sometimes you're lucky. Slowly working away here. You've got that very thin ledge to work on. You've got the ear canal here. You've got to position that forceps jaw really accurately there. So we've got that bottom bit away. It didn't pull the rest of this out. Let's hold on to this with a standard size ulnar tube here. Gently sneaking down onto the wax. There we go. As we get a bit of a suction grip, it starts to pull forwards. Can you see how that just moved towards the camera a little bit? But we lost the suction grip. As it comes forward, it reaches a slightly narrower part of the ear canal and it hitches. It doesn't come forwards enough. So as you try and draw it forwards, then the suction grip isn't holding well enough. It just breaks that suction grip there and it's not come away. I can see me just trying to put a bit of gentle wiggle behind it. See if I can inch it through that slightly narrow gap, but it doesn't want to work. So I've popped some I've popped a lot of olive oil, a lot of olive oil in here, and we're going to do the same thing again. My theory is we've got the olive oil working down the side. It's going to help me to get the suction grip on the front. The sides are going to be coated with olive oil. This is going to slide if we can get a really good grip on it. So let's hold. There we go. We've got it. It's just there. There you go, out it comes. We just need to twist just ever so slightly. But look how thick this piece of wax was. So you can see if you've gone putting any pressure on this or you tried to sneak over the top of this, you wouldn't have got it out with the Jobson horn. You would have, had to go so far along, you would have hit the eardrum behind, and it's coming away really well. I've got a bit of a wiggle there to get the rest of the way. There we go. Out that comes. Look how thick that piece was. What you see there is the side of it. So that is the actual depth of that piece of wax. You had the surface section there. There we are. There's the eardrum there. We can see it. We've got a little bit of kind of dry skin, a couple of pieces of dry wax around here. I'll do a little bit of tidying up on here, but my advice to this patient is basically use a little bit of olive oil on a regular basis. It's going to help to keep this skin nice and moisturized. It's going to stop the wax from drying out as it's done there. You can actually see the little, you can tell somebody's used cotton wool buds. You can see the fibers of the cotton wool buds still in the head there. So yeah, we know when you've done it. There's no good telling us porcupines. We know when you've done this kind of stuff. So you can see it all coming away there. It's all just peeling, that little bit of dry skin. Let's try and clear some more of this off the entrance here. There's a couple of little darker pieces a bit further in. We'll just grab those as well. See how much of a thin kind of layer this is? It's all dried out. Lots of little cotton bud fibers in there. This is basically, it's been clearing the outside part of the ear canal all the time with cotton wool, but it's dried it all out. It's squished it against the canal wall as well. So it's a little bit coming away here. Here we are. Patient did so well for this today. Absolute trooper. There we go. Out that piece comes as well. I think we're doing just a little bit more on the outside edge. I think it's not much more, I don't think though. There we go. You can see just a couple of the more looser kind of flakes coming away there. but patient, so much happier. Don't forget, they've been like this for 2 years with this sort of asymmetrical hearing issues going on there as well. Eardrum does look a little bit dull, and when we tested this patient, actually, there's a very, very slight low frequency dip in their hearing, which is quite consistent with getting some middle ear fluid there. 5/8 of an inch, 1.5 centimeters. I'll do that quickly before I said anything else. Yeah, slight low frequency dip, which happens when you get what they call middle ear effusion, or a little bit of fluid behind the eardrum. That's quite common this time of year. October through to about March, these kind of colder winter months as well. Well, you can see just how thick that piece was and how hard dry. It's very, very dark in color. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I shall see you again on Wednesday. So as always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take care of one another. And I shall see you again real soon. Bye, everyone.